All right, there are going to be a couple of groups of people, a couple of camps when it comes to this chapter and how everyone wants to take it and how everyone's feeling. And we're going to break that down right now, of course, because this chapter 1066 does not do what I thought it was going to do. This is your host, Griever, with always, this is the next piece of One Piece. Chapter 1066, and as I said, there are going to be camps or groups of people regarding this chapter, whether it's a good chapter, whether it's a bad chapter, whether it's middle of the road, but there's things they hated and things they enjoyed about this chapter. And there's also going to be a camp of people that are going to misinterpret what this chapter actually did. Because if I told you right now, if someone were to tell you exactly what 1066 was about, would you not say the thing that I said, this was an info dump chapter? Would anybody just right out of flatly say, no, this was not an info dump chapter? Would anybody just say that to me? No, some people might. Some people go, well, no, but a majority would say, yes, of course, 1066, Vegapunk was talking all about this stuff, all about the Ancient Kingdom, and all about O'Hara, and all about this stuff. Yeah, but what was new information? The end of 1065 already told us that what had been theorized about was that the kingdom from the Void Century was actually a futuristic kingdom, right? So that was not new information by 1066. The fact that there was an ancient kingdom that the world government was afraid of in the Void Century, not new information. The fact that the O'Hara scholars tried to preserve as many books as they could when O'Hara was Buster called, not new information. The fact that Dragon and Vegapunk know each other even, not new information. There is actually very little to no new information in this chapter, though it appears to be dialogue heavy. There's some reveals, of course, but when I say info dump and when I say lore dumping, this was not a lore chapter, because a lore chapter would have talked about the origins of Devil Fruits, would have given us the name of this kingdom, what was the world government doing, why did they fear him, more information about the Void Century, stuff that Robin may not know or might know things like how Luffy sits back and goes, nah, Robin, you keep it to yourself, just tell me what I need to know, that kind of stuff, that stuff that we're going like, oh, Luffy, I love you, but I hate you for that. This chapter does not do what it appears on a surface level to do, because I really didn't learn anything. I learned that here is actually what I learned. I learned the thing that's going to divide the fan base for a while now. Jaguar D. Sol is actually alive. That's what I learned. And I learned that that's about it. Like, really, what else did we actually learn? Okay, sure, you could argue we learned the motivation, or it seems like the motivation. A lot of people thought it was about Luffy's mom being a celestial dragon, all this stuff that started Dragon on the path to be a revolutionary. It appears he was already in the fold of being a revolutionary, but this is where he actually, Clover's death and the destruction of the Buster Call of O'Hara is what set into motion him recruiting Bartholomew Kumo, tried to recruit Vegapunk at the time, and of course Ivankov, into actually starting the revolutionaries as we know them in the present storyline. That's what pushed him from basically half-assing it to full-assing it, if you will. So, other than that, though, what more did we learn? It feels like I read a lot of dialogue about stuff I already knew. You know what I mean? And the thing is that, sure, some people are going to be in the camp where they're going to sort of forgive the fact that Saul came back because the people who like to wank off Dragon, the moment Dragon appears, even if Dragon doesn't do anything, people just love this man. So the moment Dragon showed up in a flashback, people were like, chapter was awesome, 10 out of 10, because Dragon was here. He didn't do anything, but glad he was here. So there's going to be that camp of people that are just going to like this chapter because we got a flashback with Dragon. Though, once again, other than learning the motivation, one of the many motivations to why he really turned the gears on full spin to get going with the revolutionaries was the destruction of O'Hara, which makes sense. Okay, cool, he knew Clover. All right, so we learned a little bit of the relationships between characters, but two characters that we know very little about to begin with. We don't know much about Dragon. We knew nothing about Vegapunk. So the fact that they were friends with Clover, okay. Sure, that's new information, but I mean, you could also tell me that Vegapunk knows Brook. And I'd be like, yeah, sure, maybe he knew him back in the day. I don't know. You know, like, so that there is going to be that group of people that's going to think that this chapter is greatness for that. And I'm not one of those people. I didn't hate the chapter, but the chapter didn't do what I wanted it to do. All it did was circle us. Kept circling. Let's just keep circling. We're like the horse, you know, with the fishing pole and the carrot. Just keep walking in a circle, never getting any closer to that carrot, yet we keep fucking following it. But we're not even getting any closer to the carrot. That's my point. This chapter is doing that. And so it sort of makes me want to teeter onto the dislike part of the chapter, because now for a couple of chapters I've been like, can we get some answers? Vegapunk, answer us. Tell us stuff we don't know. Answer questions that as a One Piece fan I have held for 12 to 15 fucking years. Answer me, damn it. Answer me some fucking questions. And instead, it's an info dump chapter with no new info. So I feel like, once again, stick and carrot. That's what I'm feeling like with this chapter, because nothing in here new. There was no new lore. I already knew about the Ancient Kingdom. We didn't get the name. I already knew it was in the Void Century. I already knew about Clover discovering it. We knew about Robin's connection to it. We knew that about the futuristic stuff from the last chapter, and that was theorized a while ago anyways. So there's realistically, once again, the chapter sort of felt like a little bit of a waste of time in that regard. And then we get the thing that a lot of people, from what I've seen, a lot of people really disliked, was the fact that Jaguar D. Saul is alive. Now, there are a couple of flashback characters, and this has been theorized before. It's been done by King of Lightning, it's done by Tekking, it's been done by Roger's Base, it's been done by a lot of people. That there are some characters that, if they came back, that are supposedly dead or gone from one of the Straw Hats flashbacks, the most likely candidates to be alive, I believe there was a poll taken one time, and Saul was like ranked number 3rd or 4th with potential to come back because of a couple of reasons. Now, we'll get into that in a moment. I always thought that the most likely one to come back would be Tom. You know, Tom the shipwright. I always thought, with the dawn, that's what he would do. Tom would come back. Because you could easily explain away how he would have escaped, gotten away. We never saw the body. All that kind of stuff. That fun comic book level of they fall down the deep dark hole that nobody can ever escape from. It's like nobody ever found the body, so that they can come back in 10 years. You know, whatever. But that kind of idea is sort of what we did with Tom. But Saul, I'm gonna say right now that though I don't like that Saul's back. I really don't. And one of the core reasons I don't like that Saul's back isn't the fact that you can explain how he came back or how he's not dead. That's fine, dandy. I've got about 2 to 3 explanations for that one. And that will make sense, I hope. But what I don't like is the fact that literally last arc, since we got Robin's backstory pre-time skip, we haven't really heard or talked about Saul at all. And the one time we have was brought up literally last arc. Last arc, Clover, her mother, and Saul, all there in the guise with the snake people or whatever, blah, 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 in the fight with Black Maria and the servants and all that shit. She goes, no, I know they're gone and dead, but I have moved forward. Yes, I'm very sad. I would love for all of you to be alive, but that isn't the truth, and I can't live in the past. Her whole speech and her whole determination and everything is sort of squandered for me, because literally, instead of Oda just not doing that scene, and then bringing Saul back, no, now, after she's had to deal with that and live with that and not been able to find a single person she could trust or her friends or a friend up until after Saul and his death and the mother and Clover and all that stuff, once all that went down, it was the Straw Hats were the next ones, and that's the entire point of Enies Lobby in Water 7. One of the greatest arcs in One Piece, one of the greatest shonen double arcs ever. Like Water 7 and Enies Lobby is so hard to pick between them because there's sort of like a part 1 and part 2 for an arc. And it's usually on a lot of people's high-ranking list, and it's because of the backstory, the leading up, how Robin's involved, and all the stuff in her finally, I want to live, sort of idea. So all of this culminates in the fact that she has the determination now, as much as it makes her cry, and she did at one. She wants Saul to be alive. She would love for the past to not be true, for the horrific things that happened to her to not be true. But they are, and she has to accept the reality that people she loved died, and she needs to move forward and not let those memories be tarnished and all this stuff. All the good writing that was done there is now fucking boom, gone, in my opinion, because that was unnecessary to do, Oda, if you were going to bring Saul back next arc. That feels like a cheap shot, because now I'm like, yeah, everyone's focusing, from what I've been watching reviews, everyone's focusing on the fact that, oh my god, look at Robin just slowly breaking down and crying and blah blah blah, she's upset but she's happy and she's crying tears of joy that Saul's alive and all that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but we're missing the point. You're missing the point that sort of destroying some of the determination and her good speech and all that stuff about her character in the first place. A little bit, just a little bit. You can argue this isn't destroying Robin as a character, and I'm not saying it's destroying her completely as a character. I'm saying it ruins that moment she had in Wano, which I thought was a very good moment. There's a lot of people that are kind of hum and hawing whether Wano's a good arc, a bad arc, all this stuff. But one thing that can't be argued, Wano definitely had some great moments in it. No One Piece fan has ever denied, the Rooftop Gang, for example. And I think that this was a solid Robin moment. That's not really talked about that much, but it was a really heartfelt, emotional moment for her. And we're sort of like, yeah, don't worry, next arc, guess what? Forget your determination. Don't have to forget about Saul's death and move on from it, because he's alive. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're emotional, but you're fine. I feel like that's pulling the rug out from underneath us. And Robin as a character. Yes, of course she's happy about it, but now she's been suffering this whole time, believing Saul's been dead. For what? For what purpose? Of course, they try to explain it off, well, Saul can't reveal he's alive and blah, blah, blah. And now he's probably the man who has the information that Kid was talking about, the man with the burn scars, and I'll get into that right now, because that's all I have to talk about the chapter. Yeah, dragons there and blah, 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 but once again, it's how we formed the revolutionaries. Great. All right, moving on. And Vegapunk's design, absolutely horrific and ugliest fucking thing I've ever seen. So, once again, Oda just trying to do the wackiest shit he can. I don't like Vegapunk's design whatsoever. That's just me. I understand that he likes his goofy designs, but, when was the last time, since Katakuri, hasn't really seen much in the way of, anything that wasn't goofy anymore, you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, so, fact of the matter is that Saul could be alive, because, number one, Aokiji was his friend, remember this, and Aokiji was the one to use the ice powers on him, so it's sort of that whole suspended animation, frozen in a block of ice, done since, the 20s of comic books, the whole suspended animation in a block of ice thing. I mean, Captain America's entire backstory and stuff like that. They even make fun of that in some later cartoons like Batman Beyond. How does the Joker come back after all these years? And he makes a joke about Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis makes a joke about that, saying, clone? Robot? Suspended animation doing the floating around in the Arctic in a tub of ice? And it's just like one of those cliche things, right? So that's fine, because that's been expected of comic books and manga to do many, many times over, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So the fact that he was frozen, it's like, okay, maybe if he ever got thawed out. But then the Buster Call happened, and we're like, okay, the Buster Call happened. Well, alright, so he's probably been destroyed. Well, one of the things is, if he's wrapped up in bandages, there's two ways I can think about this. One is that they never said they were fire burn marks. They said the man covered in burn marks, right? It's the man, the burning man, the man burned. But though one translation did say burned by flame, so maybe this one doesn't work. But I was thinking, what about frostburn? Frostbite leaves burn marks on the skin. They're just made by cold, not heat. So, frostbite, right? So he could still be the man covered in bandages, the man covered in burns, just not flame burns, So, but then again, depending on the translation, some of them said the man marked by fire or marked by flame. So that one doesn't work as well. However, because Akainu was there in the Buster Call, Aokiji froze him before it all went to shit and they burned the whole place to the ground. What if that thawed? Remember, because at the time, Aokiji wasn't the level he is now. What if that ended up thawing and burning him at the same time? By the time Saul recovered from it, he was already on fire, so to speak, and hence why he's wrapped in bandages. Another possibility. So there are ways you could remark as to why, and once again, this is just trying to connect the Burning Man, or the man with the burn scars, to Saul at this point, because if Saul is the one who recovered all the books, Vegapunk went and found Saul, Saul went to Elbath, who is not originally from Elbath, of course, but clearly didn't go back to the Marines, and went to Elbath, and clearly has been hiding there this whole time. Vegapunk has all the information that Clover and the Scholars of Ahar did, and Saul apparently has all that information as well. So potentially speaking, that could be the person that Kid was referring to, because within all the Ohara's knowledge and lore, potentially there are clues to where the last one is, right? The last robe poneglyph. So, yeah. That all being said, do I like that Saul came back once again? No. No. I think Saul should have stayed dead. I'm in a present moment, of course Robin's happy about it. And we're happy for Robin. And do I like that Saul came back? I like Saul as a character. Sure. But I also want Whitebeard back. I also want Ace back. That doesn't mean that I want Nami to have her mother back. Right? But the thing is, that's not the way it works. Like, this is one of the big flaws and big complaints in why people won't put Dragon Ball, the original storyline, which includes Z, put Dragon Ball Z as great writing or really good character writing or anything like that. This is the reason it's never in the conversation. It's there for nostalgia and for its pull and its weight in the community and its historical significance, but it's never there for the reason because death has no consequence when you have Dragon Balls, right? So it's hard, even though we have these great moments in Dragon Ball Z, it's very hard. The emotional entanglement, the emotional pull is sort of severed. That connection you have when a character dies is severed when there are no consequences, right? Or the consequences aren't lasting. And this is why reviving characters needs to be handled extremely, extremely carefully. And to randomly bring Saul back after all this time, and especially, as I said, I think it's a bit of a gut punch to literally have that one scene, the whole scene that I can recall, even mentioning Saul, post-time skip, was literally last arc, just so that Robin could reaffirm that she hates that they're dead, but they are dead, they're staying dead, nothing she do will change that, but she has moved on because she loved them and blah, 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 and all that great stuff is all just sort of, yeah, forget that. And I'm not there for that. So I think it was a huge mistake to bring Saul back. Not that I don't like Saul as a character, but at this point, you know, who else is coming back? You're starting to question it. You know, Pound not dying, Kinemon not dying. There's a lot of characters that apparently Mr. Bowler Hat from CP0 didn't die. That's been revealed in SBS or something. So, Oda, you're making a pattern of mistakes, of a flaw. So many fans want to call One Piece a masterpiece. Not just the One Piece, but it's the masterpiece. But it's very difficult to do when you are willingly choosing to write like that. To make those decisions that really, nah man, not here for it. So, as I said, this isn't really a review of 1066. It's more about talking about the fact that 1066 is sort of a disappointment at best. Because it reveals very little new information. It only hypes up the people who look at it at a surface level. It's a dragon chapter. It's instantly awesome. It's like, well, no, that doesn't make it instantly awesome for me. And then, as I said, very little new information was gained, and we got a reveal of a character, with Saul being back alive. That's not, I don't think, a good thing. I don't think that was a good decision. So, but you guys can argue down in the comment section down below and tell me why I'm full of shit, why I'm wrong, why Saul coming back isn't that big a deal. And once again, is it the biggest deal? Does it ruin One Piece? No. But Pound being alive doesn't ruin Whole Cake Island, but is stupid. Right? Kinemon being alive after taking those hits from Kaido, kind of questioning that a little bit. I'm surprised. I am surprised Izo is dead. I am surprised that Astrodoji and Izo remained supposedly dead. And at this point, people made fun of me for when Kanjuro came back as Odin and says, "Hi guys, I'm here," and they wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be real because I love Odin. But at this point, now I'm questioning whether I shouldn't have put more faith in the fact that might have truly been Odin at this point. Because at this rate, looking at Oda's track record now with dead characters who never seem to stay dead, at this point, why couldn't Odin come back? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm not really here for it. 1066 was at best a disappointment for me. I didn't hate the chapter. There just wasn't really anything there for me to love in the chapter. And I was only disappointed. So, hopefully 1067. Can we please just get some real information? What's the name of the damn kingdom? Give me something. Give me something new. Something new. Don't stop leading me with the carrot, Oda. Give me something new. That's what Vegapunk's entire purpose in the story is to lore dump on us. And he has yet to fucking do that. Okay? Have your Futurama episode later and fucking just give me the lore. So, anyways, alright, that's it for me. Enough ranting about 1066. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys next time. Another Movember. Oh, and the government people. Yeah, all these thousands of books. We literally killed these guys because they knew too much information. Nah, I'm sure all these books in the middle of the lake are totally fine. Nah, man, they're fine. Like, what? What? Anyways, that's it from me. Have a good one. 1067. Please be better.